Hey there, what's up? It's Mike Deary from Rock Guitar Power and Super Guitar Licks. And I have a lesson today that I wanted to talk about. And it's more of a concept and a theory-based thing of a way to think about something. But it's fun because it also relates to the physical side of learning guitar as well. And the idea is the importance of connecting the dots. And this is both going to be explained as like a thought of a way to think about this, but also the physical aspect of connecting dots that you'd see on, your fretboard and in tabs and all that. So this came about when I was doing a live lesson, one of my YouTube live online lessons. And at the end of the lesson, one of the lesson was about talking about how relative major and minor works and how you're able to take a relative minor scale or a minor scale, pentatonic scale, and play the relative major of it to extend the range of the fretboard. That was the general idea of the lesson. And at the end of it, one of the people that was on the live lesson, said a big thank you, and he said, "This is really helping me connect all the dots." And I thought that was really cool because it's so important to think about all the things that you learn. Usually, especially with guitar or with anything, there's a lot of elements, there's a lot of different aspects to learning anything well. Guitar is certainly one of them. And it's not that when you learn the instrument, that one thing just makes you learn it. There's all these different concepts, and as you learn them, they help piece together the whole idea of how to approach playing the instrument. And it's very important to think about that when you're out there learning, when you're looking at a lesson, and when you're introduced to a new concept. Because the thing that you want to keep your eyes open for is how something you might be learning today or in a lesson relates to something you might have already known or learned in the past. Sometimes it just takes one powerful idea or a powerful way that someone explains an idea and teaches it that helps you realize, oh my God, this just made everything make more sense. I now understand why this works and how it relates to that. I don't want to give exact examples because it's more of a concept. It's more of a thought. But if I were to relate it to an example, on the physical side of connecting the dots, I had a student once when I was teaching in person and we were doing private lessons, and I had given him, a chart of the 5 different pentatonic patterns. And how they all relate to each other. And I had each one, written out as a different pattern. So there's 5 patterns, And then he came to me the next week after I gave that to him. And he said, oh my God, this all made sense. And in his brain, he wrote out this master chart of a fretboard. And he had all the dots, laid out. And he had his own method of the way they all connected. And I took a look at it and I said, yeah, man, that works. That's awesome. And it was a way for him to associate all the stuff we did and bring it all together in his brain and connect the dots. And the way it was explained, it just made sense. And it made a lot of concepts that we had been talking about come together, and it gave him this deeper understanding, and it brought him to a new level. So just something fun to think about when you're out there learning and working on something is to think about, how does this relate to something else I might have learned? Is it related, or how can I relate it? Because chances are it's going to be related to something that you're trying to do and get better at. And sometimes it's just that one concept that allows you to connect the dots. Again, both physically, if you're working on guitar and it's a very pattern-oriented instruments, with a lot of guitar charts, scale patterns, and all that, we use a lot of dots. And sometimes it's just a matter of looking at it a certain way and having it explained a certain way that makes it all make sense. Or maybe it's just the thought of saying, hey, here's this idea here. I know the minor pentatonic scale, and I know, the 1st degree pentatonic scale. But I don't understand how they're connected. Maybe it's just a matter of someone teaching you the concept of relative major and minor to say, oh my God, now I understand how these two are connected. So just think about that, keep your eyes open for that whole idea to hit you and be present for when it does, because it's super powerful. So get out there and connect the dots.